My Hero Academia is quite an intriguing series with a lot of dynamic characters, but it also just so happens that a majority of people who enjoy it tend to be girls instead of boys. Why is that? Hey good, what's up guys, this is Dorian here. Today let's talk about My Hero Academia and its popularity amongst the female audience of anime. So why is it that a lot of girls are drawn to My Hero Academia in contrast to boys? It is interesting to notice that when you go over to Crunchyroll's store, you can put in filters and see that the animes that are most popular amongst girls are My Hero Academia and Haikyuu, whereas boys don't tend to enjoy these anime as much. Although there are male fans of these series, the majority of their fan base does consist of girls mainly. So the reason for that are many actually. There are many reasons that lead to this, and I'm gonna give my analysis on them. And I would like to mention that at the end of the day, this is just my own opinion, and let me know yours down below. So yeah, My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia is a shonen anime that began publishing in the years of 2016 and 2017, and actually it also became popular around that time on Crunchyroll because, well, Crunchyroll actually started to broadcast this anime and promote it. It wasn't really that popular amongst elsewhere. So yeah, that's the reason why My Hero Academia started taking off so well. So on top of that, the point is that this was actually supposed to be a boy show, but girls ended up being the main audience for the show and even still are. Well, the reason for that is, well, first of all, let's compare My Hero Academia to Black Clover. Black Clover and My Hero Academia are both in the fact that they both draw inspiration from Naruto and other battle shonen anime. However, I would also just like to say that these are shows that have redeeming qualities of their own, since a lot of people like to look down on these two shows, and I don't think that is the case, and these anime are great on their own as well. And yeah, don't really need to sting on the fact that they take inspiration from Naruto and hence they must be bad. They are not. But yeah, besides the fact though that I do enjoy Naruto more than these two, the fact on the matter is My Hero Academia and Black Clover also differ on the fact that Black Clover's fan base is almost entirely boys, whereas My Hero's fan base is almost entirely girls. That's quite an interesting split between these two shows. Now that happens because My Hero Academia's art style is quite different from other shonen anime. What I mean by that on top of that is that when you compare My Hero Academia to a show like Dragon Ball or Bleach, you can see quite a difference, even to Black Clover. The difference being that Dragon Ball characters are much more muscular, whereas My Hero Academia's characters are not muscular. They are just ordinary looking Asian boys. Or well, not Asian, but yeah, they're just ordinary high schoolers in Japan. And on top of the fact that there are also a lack of prominent features, such as even Naruto has stripes on his face, which often get mistaken for facial hair. They're not facial hair, but yeah, My Hero Academia's characters are not that masculine. So that's why Dragon Ball appeals to guys so much. So does Black Clover, because a lot of characters have muscle tone on them, and also the fact that Bleach's art style is also interesting to take note of, because it's a dark, edgy aesthetic that appeals to teenage boys, including myself when I was a teenager. But yeah, that's the reason why a lot of people like Bleach as well, because it has such a cool art style to it. Yeah, so that's the main problem with not a problem, but the main problem why boys don't like it as much as girls do. So that kind of pushes boys away sorta, and girls are more inclined to try it out because, well, studies show that young girls as they're growing up tend to display contrarian tendencies more than boys do. What that means is the fact that girls are more likely to try to be different than boys are from the norm. So that leads to them appreciating My Hero's unique art style. It's unique because it's quite different. It's not really the kind of thing you would expect girls to enjoy. That's the thing, because girls are stereotypically more expected to like shows like Barbie or something. But yeah, that's the interesting part about it. that girls really like My Hero Academia instead. So, on top of the fact would be the fact that since boys are more neutral towards My Hero Academia at first, since it does not really captivate them because of the art style, the lack of muscle and masculine features in the art style that a lot of other shows have. The girls, on the other hand, actually are captivated by it, and so, which is a shame sort of, because My Hero Academia does have a nice plot, but girls tend to experience it instead of boys more so. So that actually ends up happening, and that's why so many fans of My Hero Academia end up being girls. And also the fact is that girls find great escapism in anime. Yes, early on, I've noticed that a lot of fans in the anime community are also female. That's quite interesting. And also the fact is that anime provides some great escapism from society. And on top of the fact is, an interesting pattern is that a lot of girls who like My Hero Academia also tend to like K-pop. Yes, that is true. Young teenage girls who are drawn to My Hero Academia are also drawn to K-pop heavily. And now, it is interesting because K-pop is what really disgusts boys most, because teenage boys really do find K-pop cringe, even though some of them do end up liking it when they grow old and if they try it. But yeah, K-pop is something that is not really well appreciated amongst boys, so that actually encourages them to stay away from the My Hero Academia fandom further, and they also just label My Hero as cringe. So that's why My Hero Academia's fan base only consists of girls, since, well, also it's worth mentioning that My Hero Academia's fan base not only attracts girls but also ends up attracting bad people to it, because it's attracting young girls. You know what kind of people I'm talking about. So that also leads to a lot of other problems, since these people being attracted to My Hero Academia are mentally unhealthy, and these people also engage, and since, well, also the fact in the matter is My Hero Academia on Twitter gets very toxic because of how most of the fans are both kids and unhealthy adults, which leads to things such as them literally sending death threats to Horikoshi. Now, this interconnects because, well, like I mentioned earlier, boys are already averse to My Hero Academia because of how much it is on the K-pop end of the things and how the art style is not appealing to them. This is accentuated when they see the toxicity from the My Hero Academia fandom, and yeah, that actually gives them more motivation to avoid it, sadly. So that's why, whereas girls are not gonna avoid it actually, because girls are the main audience for My Hero Academia, and that's the other thing, since more breeds more. What I mean by that is the fact that if a lot of girls like My Hero Academia, other girls are also gonna like My Hero Academia. Yeah, since if that's something your friend enjoys, you'll also like it. So they actually end up inviting their friends to it. So that actually happens. Now, it's interesting to note that this sort of does contradict their desire to be more contrarian, but at the same time it does not. Well, you see, the thing is that society and your friends are two different groups of people, whereas you may rebel against society, but your friends are your closer ones. So that's the reason why that's how those two dynamics fit in this context. So yeah, that's the main reason why. These are the main reasons, in my personal opinion, why girls are drawn to My Hero Academia's boys more than well, boys themselves are. Since also it's worth mentioning that also a lot of My Hero Academia's female fans also simp over these boys. That's because, well, like I mentioned earlier, they also remind them of the boys they see on the K-pop idols they see somewhat. And also the fact on the matter is My Hero Academia does indeed have really interesting and well-written guys, as well as girls. But yeah, the characters in My Hero Academia are actually good when you try the series out. So yeah, although I will say that recently, as of late, or well, not as of late, but quite midway through, the series does become kind of repetitive with there being so many training arcs, which I think is quite mundane, to be honest. But yeah, that being said, My Hero Academia is a fairly decent series, and these are the reasons, in my personal opinion, why girls are more drawn to such a series than boys are themselves. However, on that note, I also have a video about why boys are more drawn to Black Clover than girls are, so go check that later. And with that out of the way, this has been Dorian, guys. Thank you all for watching, and make sure to subscribe with the notifications on if you enjoyed this video. Also, make sure to check out my next video on why Black Clover is more appealing to boys. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one out. Yeah, bye!